Good afternoon, it's Michael here from Michael's Card Art, and I've got a little video that I've been promising one of my subscribers for, it seems like ever, that I was going to do for her, and I apologise for not having done this sooner. But Christmas being finished and the New Year been and gone, it's time that allows me to concentrate on some of these catch-up projects that I've been promising people. And so the project that I'm going to do today is focuses on background designer series paper or coloured specialty paper, call it what you want to. I came across this little stash as a Christmas present, and they're beautiful in their own right. I don't know where he got them from, but they're gorgeous papers nonetheless. And so I wanted to do something with these, something that kind of highlights the paper but also allows the project, or the elements that I'm going to bring into the project, to also have their role. And so this is what I've come up with as an idea. And I'm going to use this piece, if I can find it again. Sorry. And I've also come down with, I think, a touch of COVID. As a personal care assistant, we always are testing, and my tests came back this week negative. But my other co-workers for this particular client have come back positive. And I don't know how I've managed to escape that. Anyway, my throat feels a little bit dry, although not sore. And I think I have got what everyone else has got. Well, I don't want to be left out, of course. Now, that said, I'm just giving you that bit of warning about my throat being possibly a little bit raspy and sore. So, the piece of... I can't find the one I've done. I have started the assembly of this card because I always work in advance like that. I like to make... oh dear, I can't find the paper. Anyway, maybe I've used up the allocation of that piece, but I'm going to show you what I've done now anyway. So this is what I've come up with. I wanted to do the tulips because I promised one of my subscribers that I would show them how I did these tulips, and then I've got the fronds, the leaves, the foliage that go with tulips. And what as I was planning this, I thought I need to create something that draws on the colours that are in here, whilst bringing something to the table as well. And what the little bit of learning was how to colour elements and bring them into paper like this. And look, these same principles, I think, because remember, I've only been doing this for 2 years, so taking my thinking a little bit further, this same thinking applies for any designer series paper. Pick a palette of colours that are sympathetic or complementary with the background of the designer series paper. And if you're going to, and when you bring something into the pie, I did do these leaves originally as a dark green, and it just didn't work. So what I decided to do was redo the leaves again. But what I've done, I've two-toned the leaves, if you like. I've got a subtle hint of green in here, and also some brown that I've brought in, or a grey that I brought in to sort of like dance along with this mauve in the background, if you like. And we've got the gold leaf here in the paper. And so what I did was I've created a design on the tulip leaves that uses gold embossing, much like what we see here in the leaves. So that's my takeaway from today's lesson. When you're doing foliage or when you're doing flowers, what techniques, what tricks what tricks of the trade, I suppose, can I do to help bring the marriage of the elements to the paper? And one of the things that I've always tried to do is my leaves is color the leaves and foliage in a natural state if I can. And it doesn't matter if the color that you're bringing in isn't really the color out in Mother Nature. It's you can make any color work, really, but it just needs to work in its context, and that in this case is with the Designer Series paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this card and all its elements, bring it up to this state, and then what we're going to do is finish it off with the various bits of adornment, if you like. So whether it's embellishments, whether it's thread, I've got a couple of little ideas there for you to help finish off this card. And I think that finished product there it works very well with the paper. And so that's one example of working with Designer Series paper. I've also got some tulips that I've also prepared, but using another Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up. And this is an old design, but what you can see here is the tulips are cut to and they've been cut on to the Designer Series paper, so that you've got tulips not just with musical notes, but now you've got chocolate tulips with writing on them. And I'll show you how we're going to make those come alive, as well as another example of working with Designer Series paper. So that'll be in the second half of this video. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is start from a scratch and show you how we brought these alive, and we'll keep moving. Now, it doesn't matter that you don't have this paper. Some of the techniques and some of the tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you today, you can apply that to any Designer Series paper. Okay, so without further ado, let me get some blank cardstock and we'll get... Now, first bit of information I want to share with you. Everyone, or most of you would know, looking at my videos, that I always use white cardstock. The only, and then what I do is I color it accordingly. The reason I use white cardstock is because I feel that I can control the color better when I'm using alcohol markers and also inkers. It's just me. However, there is an exception to that rule. And in this case, we're going to break the rule. So let me show you. I'm only, these tulip flowers, all I'm doing is putting gold embossing powder on these and then heat setting it. And I could use white cardstock and I could blend, I could then color it with beige, or basic beige as we call it here at Stampin' Up. But it does have a slightly different greenish tinge to it when I color white on beige onto white. That's just been my experience. And yes, I've used it many times, but for this little project, I don't want to do that. I won't like the end result if I color it with the white cardstock with beige. So what I'm suggesting, and I did this experiment yesterday, and now I'm sort of sharing with you my findings. I'm going to use beige to cut the tulip heads, and I'm just going to color them with the gold embossing powder. And so that's what you see is what you get, and it goes very nicely with the background of the paper. However, what I've done with the leaves for the tulips is this is white cardstock, and as I said, I can control the color better with white cardstock than I can with trying to color something that has a different color in the cardstock. That's just my observations, my findings, and it's kind of like what has set me up to be able to work comfortably with color and cardstock. So white cardstock for the urn, and I'll colour it accordingly, and I'll show you how I did that colouring as well. And so beige cardstock for the flowers, or whatever colour you want to use for your flowers, and white cardstock for the leaves. And that's the reason there. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these. Now, this is an online tulip set, but look, there's gazillions of them, and I'm going to be using these larger ones, tulip heads. In fact, are they the ones I used? Actually, these are the ones I've used, so I'm glad I pulled myself up there. So these are the tulip heads that I've used. It's an online store. I don't know who it is, and even if I did, no, I don't know who it is. But look, they've served me well, and I like these. If Stampin' Up! They do have a tulip set, but it's just not quite as convenient as this one. So I've got the fronds. These ones, if you come across this set, the stems are very, very fine, and, well, you can see how fine they are there. A little problematic, but for the purpose of this project, absolutely perfect. So just letting you know, it can be a little bit fiddly if the stems are really fine. So I'm just going to go and cut these all out now, and I'll be straight back to you. And I'm also going to cut the urn. Now the urn itself came from Stampin' Up's Earthen Texture, so it's a retired set, and the dies are here. Now what I used were these two elements here, and I brought them together to give us this. Now if you don't have these, trust me, I've gone and done until I got this set, I was making my own urns and just cutting them out, shaping it, and even making pieces like this. So if you don't have this set, you can easily make it yourself. Get yourself a template, cut, draw, and draw, shape, and just fussy cut, and there you've got a template that you can use. So don't be put off by the fact you may not have everything that I've got. We all start with the basics to start with, and then we can go forward from there. So beige for the flowers, white for the stems and the foliage, and I'll also cut this as well in cardstock while I'm at it, and then I'll show you how we coloured up. Now, so we've got all of this cut. We've got more than what we need, but that's quite okay. And let me just get all these into little piles. Okay, I suppose the easiest thing to do will be to do our urn. Get that out of the road. Fronds there, some finished products there. Okay, now don't worry about that little bit of a mark. I don't know what that is. Let's just grab our set out. Looking at this and looking at our designer series paper, what I needed was something that would complement, or a pattern on the urn that would complement the paper. And I came up with this as a thought, and here it is here. Now I could have stamped, well in fact I did stamp that directly onto there. I could have done it beforehand and then cut it, but I wasn't thinking so well when I did that. So let's just quickly get that. But the key takeaway from this little activity is, how did I choose the color for this? Because this is in effect two colors in here. I used a very light gray, there we go, a very light gray there, and then I shaded it with a very light brown. I could have used beige, or in this case I used crumb cake, and what I ended up with is that sort of a look. So let me show you what I mean by how it all morphed into the end product. And look, it's not straight, and I didn't really want it to be straight. I wanted there to be a homemade element to it. So I kind of just inked it up and then went down like so. Okay, that's pretty good. And then let me just clean this up. I'm trying to be a tidier crafter, but what happens is I just get excited when ideas start popping into my head and I just forget to put things away. So I'm trying to start the new year with a clean approach to staying tidy. Oh, and speaking of the new year, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back on some of the time that I spend away from the craft, and I'm going to spend a bit more time focusing on this as a, I suppose, as a side hustle. And what I'm doing this year, now that I've got my website just about finished and I've got my catalogue for all of my artifacts and cards and things, because what I'm going to do is start providing training lessons on via YouTube on various products that I make. These products also end up in a gift format. Let me just show you that. I'm going to digress a little bit here, but while it's fresh in my mind, I've had a number of people requesting what I do as a gift, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here's an example of one that I've made up, and this is being shipped away. So this is it's actually framed. It's the card, and it's now being framed. Sorry, I've just dropped stuff on the floor. So this started off as a card. I've used a wax seal stamp to show that it's authentic, I suppose. And I've got a sentiment down here, wishing you everything wonderful. And that kind of like relates back to this. So in effect, what I'm creating here are framed birthday cards, I suppose, as one example of the inventory of products that I do sell or on sell. So you can order just the card if you wanted to, or you can order it in a frame. Now these frames vary in size, but the thing is, the frames, and sorry about all of this reflection, but the frames are set quite deep, and they allow for products that are three-dimensional to be displayed as a three-dimensional product, which I think is fabulous. So to date, I've sent these all over the world now, and I've used them as an opportunity just to showcase what I do. And so these will make their way into a frame. Here's another one that I've just had another order for. I've got to do the wax seal and the gold embossing here, and also the sentiment. But these are, look, it's just another feather to the quiver, or the quiver to the bow, something like that. So my website will allow us to do all of that, and it'll be catalogued, and I'll also have lessons and PDFs available if you wish to make these products yourself. So I'll give you all of the recipes for that, and I'll also be able to, well, I can do it now, but I haven't really felt confident to do it just yet. But if you wanted to become a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or you wanted access to the Stampin' Up! Products that I use, and I use Stampin' Up! Mostly for all of the work that I do. I don't use Stampin' Up! Entirely, because I think there's some other gorgeous products out there. So I'll use Tim Holtz, I'll use various other companies. Kaiser Craft have some stuff there that I like to use, Amazon, etc. But so if you were interested in of joining Stampin' Up! Or being able to access the Stampin' Up! Products, you can do that via myself very shortly. What I will do until my website is totally finished and I've tested everything, if you did want to take advantage of I suppose the great products, but also the great bargains and the sale products that Stampin' Up! Provides throughout the year. And Celebration is one of those examples where you spend a certain amount of money, you get free products on top of that. So those free products can complement what you've paid for those paid products, as an example. But anyway, if you wanted to talk a little bit more about Stampin' Up! And what you can buy and some of the advantages and disadvantages, I'm very happy to talk to you about that. All you need to do is just drop me a message and I'll come back to you on that within 48 hours anyway. So just to give you a little insight as to what's happening here at Michael's Card Art. So let's get back to the topic at hand. So here are, it's our urn and here. So let's start that process. We've stamped it in a grey, a smoky slate, and then what I'm going to do is just grab a blending brush, and where did I put the one that I was using? That's the $1,000,000 question. Here it is here. So just loading up the blending brush. I'm using the Stampin' Up! Glass mat actually, but I'm going to just brush some of that off because I don't want to apply that straight onto this. Now remember, this is white and we're wanting to change it and give it this nice aged look. So here we go. Now I've brushed off and I'm slowly reintroducing the color from the blending brush onto the pre-stamped cardstock, which was white, and you can start to see it's slowly losing that white color that it came to the table with. Okay, so you can start to see the brown is starting to take hold. One tip I'd give for using blending brushes, don't go straight onto it because you're going to get blobs of color and it's too hard, practically impossible to even those blobs of color out of your finished product. Okay, here we go. That's, I think, a good so the grey, you can't even tell it's really a grey now. It's become diluted with the crumb cake, which is the brown. Now let's get the gold embossing started. Now Embossing Buddy takes away grease that may already be sitting on the finished product. I'm going to just apply that down here. It doesn't need to be applied there because I'm going to emboss the whole thing. Use the Embossing Buddy when you're not going to emboss a whole element. You only want to get gold embossing powder and the Versamark, which is like a sticky product that enables the embossing powder to stick to the element. So what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to get the edge, and you can see this Versamark ink pad has seen better days. I had a viewer on my YouTube channel at Michael's Card Art say to me, "You're embossing." I may have already told you this, so if I have, forgive me. It's old age anyway. I said, "Your Versamark ink pad has seen better days." And I said, "Well, let me tell you, so have I." And I was feeling a bit compelled to replace it after that comment, but I thought, no, I'll replace it when I replace myself, I thought. Anyway, so I've embossed it. Now I'm just going to get a brush and just take away any real unevenness on that. There we go, just like that. All right, and I should emboss this as well while I'm at it. The easiest way to do this is just stick the whole thing on the pad and then throw it into the embossing powder, like so. And now, my embossing powder spoon provided to me by a customer. Oh, what's in here? Oh, look at that. One left over from the previous, as I was preparing this morning and last night and this morning. So here it is. I don't want to get tweezers onto it because I find the tweezers will take off the embossing powder where they stand. But what I will do, I won't do this on the glass, I'll do it offline. Oh no, let me do it here. I don't like to heat set onto the glass itself, even though it is safety glass. I'll hold it like so, and here we go. Now this is just, I'm just holding it. It will probably turn around if I was to allow it to, but you can see how the gold powder, which has been adhered to via the Versamark onto the cardstock, has started to change and take on more of a metallic look now. Oops, there it is, upside down. There we go, it's just about all there. Right, you can see here, I'll use the tweezers now because it has set. There we go. Okay, yes, that's set now. A little bit of gold is not set there, so all I'm going to do is back into the powder. No, I need to put some Versamark back there. It's come off altogether. Okay, so just wipe that and into the powder, and you can see it's ready to be set now. And it won't take long, it'll be set beautifully, just like that. Okay, and it's got that nice sort of metallic, bumpy kind of look about it. Alright, so that's done. And with that one done, I'll just now do this one, the base of the urn. Don't do it straight onto the glass if I can help it. And there we go. Alright, and with a little bit of glue, you will see you have an urn ready to go. And I'll also show you how I shape that while I've got it down. There we go. Just a fine line of glue, and voila. Now, an invaluable piece of kit in your stash, and I don't know where the word stash comes from, but ever since I started doing this fabulously creative art form, stash was the word that everyone seemed to be using as a way of describing all of this stuff in their craft library of goodies. Okay, so just give that a moment or two. You can see the difference. This one is now a more convex. Trying to think of a convex, concave. That's concave. You can see there it's got dimension to it. So how did I get that dimension? So when that sets, I'll show you. And in my bid to stay tidy, I'll just get rid of a couple of these things. And I had, just speaking of mailing things overseas, I don't know if anyone's had this problem before. So inside here, just making sure there's no name here that you can see, it's only a small box, it's well packaged. This was to my client. I've sent it over there. Inside is a frame with the cards, as I showed you, and they allowed 1 week for this to be collected. And anyway, within that week, I think my client must have been unwell, wasn't able to go and get it, and it's come back to Australia. I had to pay the fare going over and coming back. Anyway, we'll sort that out with my client, and we'll try that again to get that off to them. but I've never had that experience before. Now, how do I shape the elements? Look, I do it in a number of ways, but the most common, and I'll just get rid of this, that I like to use is with a stylus. And I'm just looking for where it is now. And this is where a clean desk comes into play. What did someone say to me? A clean desk is a sign of a... No, a clean desk or an empty desk is the sign of an empty mind. Okay, here's a stylus. I don't agree. Okay, now, what I have done in the past is I've got the boning folder and I've shaped it like this. But I don't do that now. I do it with a stylus. And the reason I use a stylus is because it gives you a more natural finish in the shaping. So I'm going to start at the top. Now remember, these two pieces is a combination of two pieces. So go gently. What I'll do is I'll start at the base because I want, and I'll press down. I've turned it over because I want the curvature on the underside, as you can see. I'll start at the bottom and I'm just going to go up, pressing firmly. You'll start to see the product or the element start to rib, and that's fine. And I do it on the same side, on the opposite side. Now, if I wanted to, that could be enough. But because I like this process so much, I just can't let it go at just two. So I like to do the whole thing. And I'm just pushing up. Sometimes I will be very vigorous with the product and stretch the paper ad infinitum. But this doesn't need it so much. And just to finish off and get some of those ribbing out of it, I'll do this approach, just winding it around so that you're getting some good natural wear and tear lines on the product. And it looks like that. Now, I like that. I like that look. Now, if you wanted a really clean, simple card, you'd probably do that flat. You wouldn't even bother with the stylus and the piercing mat. And I have done work that is pretty one-dimensional or two-dimensional, but I couldn't help myself, and you can see there I've had to do some curving of the card, of the flower pot, sorry. But this is something that's pretty single-dimensional, and so therefore if you didn't want to do all that, you'd have something that's quite a bit like that. All right, so as we, yes, I think that's good. All right, so that was the colouring, grey with crumb cake blended over it, some gold embossing. I think I need to put a bit more down here. Anyway, all right, now let's look at, look, I'll do the leaves first because I've got all of that there. All the pieces are out, and in the interest of keeping this short and timely. All right, so back here, I wanted the foliage to be sort of natural, but because I tried it with just a single green or two tones of green, it just wasn't working for me. So I was thinking, what can I do to give it a more complementary look with the designer series paper that we've got? And so this is what I came up with. And take it out for a drive, see what you think. It might work for you, it may not, and it really is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, so what I've done, I'll just grab one of these fronds. I'm going to use two colours. One is Mossy Meadow. It's kind of my go-to green. And I'm going to use a pretty strong sort of a brown, and it's a soft suede. So let's get out two daubers. And this is a dauber piece of work because I find this is, for me, and just for me, the easiest way for me to colour foliage and to do this. So I've got to decide, let's say there's 10 leaves I've got to colour. I think it's sensible to apply the colour on the same side as with all the leaves. So in this case here, I've applied brown to the soft suede to the right hand side of the foliage when I've been colouring it. However, when I've built these elements into an entity, I may have turned the leaf around so that the brown is on the other side, and so forth. So that's just to explain that. So this is how I do it. I'm starting with the green, and see how it goes on. It's very rough. It's rough like Mother Nature rough. Okay, there you go. And the brown, I'm going to just make sure that's a clean one. And the soft suede, all I'm doing there is this. And you can see there, it's now on. So the strong green and the soft suede. And the element is now coloured. So let's do that again. I've got the brown in my hand, so let's stay there and look at that. Now, you can wear disposable gloves if you wish to, so that you don't colour up half your hand. It's easy to come off though. When you go to wash your hands, it's very easy to get that colour out. And look at that. There's the green going on. There, the green will cross over into the brown because it's quite a wet colour. This brown needs a bit of a drink, I suppose. But I don't mind that there's no real boundaries for this. And you can start to see there how it's not garish or anything like that. Okay, so there's our, I think I swapped dauber. So there's our dauber, there's our green, and I did swap the dauber. Oh my god! And here's the brown. Yeah. All right. So they look very rough at the moment, but when it all comes together, I've got to stop doing that. That's the green and this is the brown. When it all comes together, it does have a very nice harmonious look about it in context with the rest of the other elements. And there we go. Look at that. All right, and look, this white is not screaming at the rest of the elements. It's just a nice way of doing it. And let's put some brown on here. There we go. Now, I'm not going to do this two-tone colouring for every element because not every element needs it. This was done for the grasses, the fronds more so. So what have we got here? We've got some there. Great. And we've got some there. And I think that's probably enough for what we need. All right, two left over. The stems for the tulip heads, I didn't colour those. I didn't two-tone those. All I did was just... there we go. All I did was just colour them green, and some places got more colour than others. Okay. And like so. Okay, I think that's... And I did say that the stems for this particular tulip set are very, very fine. And they will challenge anyone. When they pop in and do some crafting. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's enough stems. Oh, here's one more, just in case. All right. Okay. So let's get those out of the road. Let's put this away. And so, where's the chamois gone? All right. Now, you'll notice what I've done with the, and I'll show you how to shape those tulips now. Before I do that, I'll just quickly explain what I did with the Designer Series paper, and this is just a suggestion, nothing more. I cut the center out of it, and I did that because I was looking at a way of just creating a little bit more interest in the actual card. Now, have I glued that? Yes, I have. I'm just going to see what the new vase looks like there, and I think I'm going to use that because it's just fabulous. All right, this hole I created it because I wanted to generate a bit more of a sense of interest, and I was going to before it went in there, I was going to put script on it, but I'm glad I didn't because it just works very well just in its current state. You can go overboard with all this stuff here. All right, so what I did, you can see there I've used dimensionals. There we go, dimensionals to lift the top card, which I have cut the center out, but it's also got its backing card to give you a lot more rigidity and strength there. And I've forgotten to take off the tabs off the dimensionals. All right, so that's that. Use dimensionals to lift it off, and it's sitting on its own backing card, and that will become something bigger. Not just at this stage. I've got to get this ready. All right, and what have I got here? I'm just doing a quick check. Okay, so let's get the tulips glued and shaped and glued, I should say. Shape that, put that aside, and let's now piercing that once again. And what I do is for these larger pieces, I'll be honest, I do use my boning folder, but in the interest of learning totally a new skill, let's assume you're only going to use these. And this shaping is really very simple. In fact, you just need one tooling method. And that's it here. So that shaped leaf, these were all done by bone folders, and it is a nightmare, but that short leaf there could go into that space there, and it would look very, very comfortable in there, even though it's from a different set. All right, let's shape up a few of these. Once again, just grab the stylus and give it some turning. Now, you might want to see what it looks like when you fold these cards, leaves not that way, but underneath. So let's have a look at some of those. I'll just get these out of the road. And right, now here we go. Start at one end and just push freely and firmly to the other end. Now, to turn the fold the opposite way, turn the thing over, and that's what you'll get there. That's folded now towards you. Yeah. And there we go there. I'm going to be quiet there. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something and I forgot that I was on the air. All right, and there's our stems. Okay. All right. Let's now apply some glue. I just have to go and grab something. I'll be straight back. Right, we're just going to use the sheet music. It's a retired Stampin' Up set, and I want to just gold emboss that. So it's going to look like that, and I'm probably going to use, or try and use these rows in here because of the notes. Let's just get that onto a stamp. This is a very easy process. I'm going to give it a dusting with the embossing buddy. Oh, excuse me. Just in case, because you can see, oh, now I've got the hiccups. You can see we're only putting embossing powder just in a small area, but I want to make sure that I do have no grease on it. And it's a very big set. So just a bit, it's just a bit fiddly because now it's decided to come off the block. All right, the easiest way is just emboss the area that you want, and for some reason it's decided to lose its stick. And all I'm going to do is just make sure that tulips are in the upright position, and we're just going to press down firmly there. Okay, and then, which is what I expected, and we're just going to do this. Tip them straight in to, there we go. And you'll see that this is a very easy and fast process. All right, just get this one. Okay. Give the tray a little shake, and that should suffice. Yes, don't handle it too much because you don't want to you don't want to lose any of the embossing powder if you can help it. And here we go. And the last one. There. I think that's it. Yes, okay. Now we're going to heat set just like we did with everything else. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to do one on screen. And the rest I will do off air. There we go. Now just hold it in place. Don't press too hard, you don't want to mark it. And turn on the heat. Now if this is the first time you've seen or any of my videos or any of my work, I say the same thing to everyone. Your hairdryer is not going to do the job, and I had somebody contact me the other day and asked me could they use an iron or the sandwich press. I had to laugh at that one. Short answer to both of those is no. You cannot use your hairdryer, the sandwich press, or even an oven, because it needs to be the right heat. Otherwise you're just wasting your time. And you do need to have Versamark, and you do need to have embossing, a good embossing powder. All right. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of these off air, and I will be back to you. Right, I think we are just about ready to roll with the assembly. I was just looking at this. What I did was I cut the center out. I mentioned that, and I just put some extra cardstock under the designer series paper. And so we've got that slight little bit of elevation. So this is how I was thinking it might play out. And, oh, here I am saying I'm ready for assembly, but I don't have them, all the pieces glued. But let's put a couple of these into play, and I think you'll start to see very easily the beauty of this little set and how it looks when it's brought together. Oh, sorry, I've got a couple of little pieces from another set that I'm doing, other project. So it might be easier just to get these shaped. Now, I am going to show you how I shaped these. So you've got that. I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I did these in advance. Let me just get those sitting up there. All right. I guess I'll put those ones on the edge. These ones will go here in the center because they're the taller ones. Okay. I'm trying to get the video done in the next 20 minutes because I've got guests arriving. And yeah, I think that's something like that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The worst of having fat fingers. Right, anyway, it'll go like that. Let me show you how I did do the flowers and the stems, and we'll come back and reassemble that. So, with our stylus, once again, this is probably a good size. And just so you've got a comparison, it's not too big, and there's usually with the stylus there's a bigger on the other end. Now, actually I might use the bigger one for this. So all I'm doing, I'm pushing up from the bottom, and like so, just to give that sense of roundness. I'm just changing down to a smaller size because I find, even with the smaller size, I'm getting a much better shape. And there you go, there like that. So that's basically how I've done that. Now, in the past, what I've done in shaping, when I didn't have the stylus, I would curve that with my bone folder. But as I said, I think the look is better in this format. Let's bring that, there we go. Get those ridges out. And there you've got your three-dimensional tulip petals or tulip flowers. Don't worry about that opening up. That just adds to the look and the feel. Now, I can't remember whether I showed you the curling of this earlier on in the video when I was doing some other curling, but I'm just going to show you this again anyway. These ones aren't prepared, and they'll be used in another project. But basically, I'm oh yes, I did show you because I was colouring it. But basically, I'm starting at the bottom and I'm just moving my way up the top. And a couple of movements like that, and you will get the curve that you want. If you do want to, let's say you wanted that shape sitting there, but you needed something flat to glue. So what you're going to do there, just bend it a fraction, and you'll have that there. Bend it as much as you want, or reduce it down there. So that's as hard as it is. And I used these to glue the pieces on. Now, you may find this a little frustrating, but just apply a little bit of glue there, grab one of your pieces and put that into play. Now, what's so frustrating about that, you ask? Well, when you have fingers fat like mine, and I cannot find my silicone mat, even though I've just bought a new one based on feedback that I got from a previous video, I can't find it. So I have to go and buy another one. And so in the interim, the frustration is these small thin pieces and getting them to just sit there until the glue has dried. It won't take very long because it's a very good drying glue. And so here we go. I'm going to just place one of these. You decide which one and which position it will go, but I'm just going to flatten that down just a fraction, and that will sit on there. So just a little bit of glue there, not a lot, and just put it on flush with the stem. I do go under it with the pick, just so I know that it's not going to set hard onto the glass. And here's another one, and this one I might turn it around so the flat end is there. Okay, and that goes there. And there's your tulip, ready to be placed onto the card. Now, let's just put that there because I might use that one. It's a nice long one. And if you wanted to, you can shape them on the other side. So as you can see here. So one has, and whichever way you want the curve to be, you're going to place that onto the to the foam mat and push into it, and that will give you that curve. So it'll curve back on itself, like these have done. All right, now let's just bring out a wipe, and I'll just get rid of that bit of glue. Oh, and I want to show you one other little addition that I secured in my last order, and I've used it once. And here it is here. I'm just going to find it. Okay. Okay, look at this. Just look at this. It's gold thread. It's polyester, but the potential of this, and it's fantastic. So we're going to find a place for this in today's project. Let's get that out of the road, and oh yay, big will be good. I must remember to get some more. Right, and I think what we'll do with that, we may need to put that down first, and I'm thinking right, I like the idea of it sort of being tucked in here somewhere in some way, shape or form. So I'm just going to do that now, and it doesn't need to be we don't need to be too neat about it, but there we go. It just tucked in there, and it's now going to sit a bit like that. And when we finish with it, it'll be like so. Now let's get our vase on there. And I think the challenge will be with this to keep it low enough so that it doesn't upset the appearance. But what we might need to do is cut like so. And I've just done that because I know I probably will need to cut it, but I just didn't want to agonize over it and not be able to make a decision. So I've just made a fast decision. Sometimes I regret those fast decisions. Now, let's see what we can do here. Now, if that's going to be where the urn is, we could go on there like so. Nice tall ones in the center. We need about 5 of these, I think. That's too short. Here's another tall one here. Okay. All right, I'm going to try and stop talking and just focus on this. You haven't lost me altogether. I'm just trying to focus. No, not that one. Okay. All right, I think what I need to do is just go in stages on this. And that one will go there. And this one can go in here. Right. Something vidas, something like that. Etwas vidas. Gosh, I remember learning German in primary school, in high school. And I used to work a year and then I'd go and spend a year living in Deutschland, in Germany. And then I'd try and improve my German. And you'd get over there, and I mean, I love Germany. I love German history. Whilst I don't condone any war atrocities, but the cause and effect of, events that happen in the world. I'm absolutely fascinated by that sort of history. And in Germany's case, I love the language, and I love their modern history. There's so much for the world to learn from what the Germans have been through and what they've achieved, I suppose. But they're humble in the mistakes that they made as well, and for that you have to admire them also. Right. The gold is difficult to work with, but I love that look. That is really, really doing it for me. So that's where we're going to go for the moment. I'm going to go off air and I'm going to assemble this. So forgive me for that. Okay, so since I did that, I'm going to go off air and assemble that. Doorbell rang and friends arrived, and so that's as far as I got with the assembly of the card. And as I looked back through that video, I really liked what I had as a bit of a prototype. But anyway, this is what how I finished the assembly in between excuse me, in between getting guests settled and things like that. Quick rundown of what we've done. It's basically the same. We've put in the tulips. We've got the reeds and that sort of tucked around it. In the prototype, I didn't have all these other additional pieces of tulip heads, and I don't know whether I like this better or the original one. But anyway, here we go, and we've just added a sentiment, and the urn is holding the flowers in that cutaway there with the with that. Look, it's a nice card, and I'll fill the center, but that's it. And I'm going to let you go with that because I still have a few more things that I need to get done in the guest department. I hope you enjoyed that, though. I do hope you got something from it. And most importantly, I do hope to see you next time on Michael's Card Art. Thank you.